In this video, let's take a quick look at calibrating an XRef to our drawing. Now, calibrations are new to TPC Desktop 2019. I'm going to go ahead and insert this XRef and tell you that prior to 2019, we would call this referencing the XRef to the survey. Beginning in 2019, it's just part of the calibration set that's available. So I'm going to right-click this, and instead of coming to XRef reference to survey, which is no longer there, by the way, I just say calibrate. Okay, so I'm basically saying I've brought in, either imported the DWG or brought in an XRef to it, and it doesn't share my coordinate reference system for my survey. So I need to get the DWG file on the same grid as my survey. Now, I may have already created a calibration for this, in which case I could simply reuse it. That's what this use existing is. Or I haven't done that yet, so I'm going to select point pairs, and I'm going to save that as a calibration. So now I will have a calibration I can reuse. So let's tell Traverse PC OK. And Traverse PC is going to prompt me at the bottom now to select an uncalibrated point first, and then select the calibrated pair. So let's tell Traverse PC I want to go to the end of this arc. Now I'm choosing an arc inside the XRef, and the whole XRef is being highlighted, but the tooltip is showing me that the cursor is over that arc. So I'm going to pick the end of that arc, and it draws that for me. And I'm going to pick the equivalent point in Traverse PC, which is the end of that arc right there. And see how I get the little symbols and lines there? Then I'm going to drag this over, and I'm going to pick the end of this line and the equivalent end of the line in Traverse PC. Okay, so now I've got 2 points. Let's come down here. Let's do the same thing with, I'm kind of using this right-of-way around the project here. So that's a line there. And I'm going to see if I can get this little line right here in Traverse PC. Okay, there's another pair. And then let's go all the way over here to the southwest corner. And there's an arc. I'm going to pick the end of the arc in Traverse PC. Now, I'm pretty comfortable with those 4 points. So let's go ahead and right-click and have Traverse PC tell me it's done. And then let's do a couple of things here. Remember I told that dialog I want to save this calibration, and I'm looking real quickly here at the residuals, and they're very small. This is really what I expect. I expected this to be pretty tight. So I'm going to say yes. Let's go ahead and save that. And Traverse PC is going to provide ask me for some information about this calibration, because when I use it in the future, I want to know what it was. Okay, so I'm doing a 2D conformal, which means that the entity shapes are not going to change, and I don't care about elevations. So that's simple enough. Traverse PC brought in the name of the survey. It brought in the file for me here. That's the from, so it came from this XRef file. And what I'm going to do is put it into my coordinate reference system, which is the Alberta WGS 84. So now I've saved information about that, and I can come in and save the calibration. So I'm just going to simply call this XRef. And I know that, well, let's call it CAD. Now I know it's from a CAD file. And if the engineers or the architects or whoever are working on that CAD system, I now know that this calibration will transform me from that CAD system to what my survey is using, or the reverse. I can go the other direction with it. And of course, now I can look at this and say, wow, this is all fitting really nicely now. It just kind of rocked it right in for me. And I can come in and use the random inverse tools, kind of see how things are fit. Traverse PC knows that it has used that calibration, so I can come back to that calibration anytime. And it tells me that one object is calibrated by it. I can go in and look at the properties anytime or generate reports on that. Okay, so Traverse PC gives me a lot of information about the calibration even after the fact. Plus, I've stored it in the folder with the survey, so I can reuse it any number of times. Okay, that's a quick look at calibrating an XRef and TPC Desktop 2019.